It to you. If not, it should. I probably should have got a darker pen, although it's pretty dark. So welcome everybody. We're doing a quick impromptu class tonight. I think up until for the next couple of months, we're probably going to be doing this Tuesday class. They're going to be short little teachings and trainings, and helping you guys to understand a little bit of deeper stuff, possibly about revealing and aspects like that, things around revealing, and who knows, what it could grow into anything. So welcome to the call. Let me get up the chat box so I can see y'all. Hi, beautiful. Is that me? Thank you. Beautiful ball, Brian. And so really quick, yeah, the board's not readable. Too bad. I'll have to read it to you. So really quick, is there anybody out there that can read the board? Okay. Yep. Okay, a few people can. So yeah, I'm worried about it getting blurrier. So let me try something really quick. Hold on one sec, guys. You're gonna have to hang on. Let's see if this fixes it.
Hey, Brian, how about pulling it closer to the desk? Oh, there it goes, even better. That's way darker.
There you go. See what I do for you guys? Went out there, wrote that thing at least 2 times, probably 3 before. No, 2 times. I started a 3rd one. Awesome. You can all read that now, right? I can read it clearly, so I'm assuming you guys can. Okay, yeah, I want to talk. Awesome.
Also, just an FYI, we have some ladies joining us from Experienza page too.
Awesome. Well, welcome, ladies. Well, it's good to have you. So from Experienza, what's that?
Anna's group.
Okay, awesome. Well, welcome, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into this a little bit. This has to do with revealing. How many of you guys are familiar with revealing? The concepts around revealing, revealing or releasing? Okay, awesome. Okay. So if you understand the basics of revealing, you're going to understand this, because tonight's call is going to be about revealing. I believe every Tuesday night's call for a little bit is going to be about revealing. And this is a scale I came up with and included in revealing a few years back. And the whole purpose of this scale was to help you to understand better resistance to action, all the way to taking action effortlessly. If you notice on this scale, if you're in avoid, that's the part of you that's always wanting to avoid taking action. And how many of you know the emotional scale? Apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, pride, courage, acceptance, peace. Okay, a lot of you do. Anybody not know it? Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to play with that a little bit. When you're doing releasing, Releasing is founded on the principle. I'm going to break it down for you a little bit. It just so everybody understands clearly that your motivating force is an emotion. So if you want to go, let's say, for example, if you have a thought, I don't like myself, and that thought is really heavy and really sad and grief stricken, that thought is going to stick around because you have this horrible feeling in relation to not liking yourself. Now, if you had the thought, I don't like myself, but you were completely, didn't have that feeling, that emotion attached to it, it wouldn't last. The thought would just float away. It would have no effect over you. Saying to somebody, saying to myself, I'm ugly, but not believing it at all because I feel happy and joyful and light has no effect on me. So the glue that keeps you stuck in life is your emotions. The emotional scale has a huge effect on how you feel about yourself and what stays around, what leaves, what floats away. There's something called attachment and aversion. Attachment is this idea. The Buddha said that source of all suffering is attachment. So attachment is this idea that you are attached to an idea. In other words, you're like, this really means something about me. I got to hold on to it. I got to get this. I got to figure this out. And aversion is the idea I don't want that in my life. That's not true. I don't believe it. And you're so against it that it's actually attached to you because you're saying, for example, I'm not sick. I'm perfectly healthy. I'm perfectly healthy. And you're saying it so forcefully, your subconscious mind feels see you, unless you didn't feel really heavy, you didn't feel really hard on yourself, you weren't beating yourself up, you wouldn't have the need to push against this idea that you're not sick. And so therefore the subconscious mind, because it's so clever, picks this up and sees it as, no, this is true. The more you scream against something, fight against something, the more true it becomes to the subconscious mind. In hypnosis, we used to use a lot of tricks like this to get people to feel something or not feel something. For example, in smoking, we would always talk about try really hard. And we would talk about trying really hard to quit, try really hard to pick up the cigarette, try harder, try harder. And that's a presupposition of the subconscious mind that you're going to fail, because the mind doesn't know how to resolve the word try. And so it's the same thing here. You've got all this emotional scale from apathy all the way up to peace. Okay. And I'm going to draw that scale really quick. So this is the emotional scale all the way up to peace. This is what we start with in releasing. When we're learning releasing, if you're down here in the bottom and you have a negative thought about yourself, it's going to stick pretty well. If you're clear up in peace, this thought's not going to stay around at all. Up there, up at the top, up in courage, acceptance, love, peace, life is easy. Life flows. Life is simple. Down in the bottom, life is stingy. Life wants to take from you. And so I want you guys to all take a quick note right now in your life. Take a little gander into your life and ask yourself, where is the bulk of my life, my day to day? Do I live up in apathy, grief, and down in apathy, grief, and fear? Do I live in more of like an anger, pride area where I'm pushing and fighting and I'm going to make it happen? Think about all the motivational speakers out there that are hustling, that are pushing, and they're like, you can get up, work 80 hours a week, you could make it happen, you could do it. There's a lot of anger and pride in that energy, and courage too. But the most successful people in the world that make life really easy typically live up in courage, acceptance, love, and peace. That's where their baseline is from day to day. Where do you live day to day? I want you to kind of take a note of this. Now I'm going to draw a couple quick lines. Now, if we look at the bottom of the list, I feel a little trapped by this cable here. If we look at the bottom of the list, this is typically inward energy. This is energy going inward and worrying, like, oh my God, life's tough. This is victim consciousness. It's really difficult. It's really challenging. If we look at the middle of the scale, this is where you're typically pushing on life. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to hustle something. It's going to take off for me. You know, once I work hard enough, I'm going to work 80 hours a week, whatever I have to do. Pride is, for example, anger is lashing out, and pride is typically win-lose. Win-lose is this idea that that there has to be a winner and a loser, and I'm going to be on the winning side. Or maybe I get a lot of pride out of always being the loser. Like, oh, nothing ever works for me. And there's this value in the attention you get from it. Okay. And then courage, acceptance, love, and peace. Courage is what the beginning of win-win. And then courage, acceptance, love, and peace is where life starts to become easy. That's where, like, suddenly you make money easily. You succeed easily. When things go wrong, like COVID, you make adjustments, and then boom, something else starts working for you, because you don't look at life through this lens down here. Now, this doesn't just apply to life in general. This could apply in general. You could be up here, but you could have one area of your life that's down here. Maybe with your family, you're up here, but in money, you're down here, or vice versa. And you'll notice that difference. Now, the bulk of the world is down here. And then the next bulk is here. And there's a very small group of people that are up here. These are like your Richard Bransons of the world are up here, just flowing. Life is easy. They get up every day. They relax into it. And some people can be up here as long as they keep their life small. But as soon as they try to push their life to a greater level of success, they crash back down here or somewhere in here. Now, I brought this scale up for a reason first, because in releasing, what we're doing is we're getting rid of all of this in any area that you want to succeed and getting you up here so that that area becomes easy. We're acknowledging, we're welcoming, we're seeing, we're looking at the apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, pride, and then slowly detaching it. Now, what happens is after you've worked with the emotions enough, and there's more emotions in this if we actually go out, it goes really deep. You know, the revealing process has so many emotions. And if you keep expanding out, you start to develop this really strong sense of emotional intelligence. You start to get really aware of what you're feeling at any given moment. But there's this interesting thing that happens as you build more awareness, as you grow. And that's the point of this video. As you learn to understand your emotional relationship to life better and better, and you begin to see whether you're in apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, pride, or wherever in relation to anything you're doing in life, then you begin to start to notice that everything is really attached to a want. In other words, every want bursts an emotion, every emotion bursts a want. Or in essence, a push and a pull kind of energy to it. So apathy is really just a push. It's a push away of everything. I don't want to feel. I don't want to have any emotions. It's numbness. It's shut down. Grief is begging for somebody to help you, right? Fear, it could be begging for somebody to help you. It could be running away, pushing away, but there's a push or a pull. And all of these energies, all the way up to courage, have a really strong push and a pull to it. This sense that I'm going to make this happen, or I'm going to get it away from me. That attachment, that aversion energy. Is this all making sense so far for everybody? Awesome. Perfect. Okay. So now let's go back to this other list. Now, I've been calling this, I'm trying to find the right name for it, but I've been calling this the action list, or the once isn't quite the right word. You call it the push and pull list. And I'm actually planning to extend on this for revealing and actually make it more in depth, because this list would go right next to the other list. As you develop a strong sense of emotional intelligence, for example, if you welcome a part of you that has let's say you had a fear of dogs for some reason, and you welcome that fear and you sit with that fear and you begin to get comfortable looking at the fear, the images, the thoughts, and the feelings that come up with it, then you can start to realize that the fear doesn't control you. You can look right at it. that you have some power over that fear. Whereas in the past, you'd been avoiding the fear. As you get comfortable looking at the fear, that doesn't mean the fear goes away. But as you get comfortable looking at it, you come to acceptance of the fear. As you come to acceptance, is you take the courage to look at the fear and then come to acceptance of the fear. You can then ask your body to start letting it go. And in a little bit at a time, it can let it go, possibly all at once. And the more present and in the now you are, the faster it's going to leave your body, until pretty soon that fear starts to dissolve. And all you're left with is a memory that you were afraid of dogs. And then you could start to welcome the experience of love for dogs, and you can develop that too. That's a whole nother process in revealing. And revealing is an in-depth course where we really teach you the language of emotional intelligence and intelligence around energy and how it pushes and pulls on you throughout life to create your reality. So I can't, being that we're only going to talk today for about 30 minutes, I can't go in depth into that. So that's why if I seem a little rushed, it's because I'm trying to get a lot in right now. But there's that idea that that there's all these energies at play. Now, what this scale does is if we put it next to the emotions, we'll notice that the bottom of the emotional scale, apathy, is down here. That's the desire to numb out and avoid and to shut down and to run away. When we get into have to, this is like the push and pull scale. So you'll start to notice what this does is it brings into your awareness how you're using emotions to push and pull on the things you want in life. And Lester Levinson had once said that releasing is all about getting the push out of you so the world stops pushing back. Because when you get the push out of you, everything comes to you effortlessly and easily. Life becomes incredibly easy. So at the bottom of the scale, we have avoid. Okay. That's like apathy and numbness. And then we have, what do we have? Apathy, grief, fear. And in that, there's a have to, need to, I got to do it. I got to figure it out. And I want to point out that to me is those two, the avoid, the have to, and the wanting, are in a weird sort of way almost the most important part of this scale, because that's where the bulk of the world lives. The bulk of the world is bouncing between avoid. I'm going to sit and numb out watching TV. I'm going to drink. I'm going to masturbate. I'm going to do whatever it takes to not feel right now because I'm burned out and tired. Back to have to, I got to do it. I got to go to work. I got to make it happen. I got to push. And what's driving the have to? It's possibly a fear of not getting paid, a fear of not paying the rent, a need for money, so I need to go to work because I need money. And do you see that there's an emotional relationship to every have to, got to that comes up? Now, the next level is wanting that we've got up here. And I put a line in the middle of wanting. And oops, I did in the wrong spot. Okay. So wanting is a very interesting energy. On the scale, you'll notice that correlates with lust. So there's a lot of different types of wanting. Craving, needing, desire. And wanting is very interesting in that it has a psychic pull on it, typically. Like, I'm wanting this so bad. I'm going to get it. I'm going to go make it happen. I want it. I want it. There's a big distinction between have to. I have to do this and I want to do this. If you want to do it, there's a part of your body excited about it. And there's a part of your body afraid to do it at the same time. And if you have to do it, you really don't want to do it. You're just doing it because you need the money. And so there's a big distinction between those two. When you understand that distinction, it's huge for your breakthroughs. This is probably one of the things that's given me some of the biggest breakthroughs in my life. Now, when you're in have to, I'm going to give you an example of have to, actually, and then we're going to come back to wanting. Have to is push, want is pull, possibly. Have to can be push or pull, to be honest. Wanting has a push and pull in it, and that's what we're going to talk about here in a second. I had a client. How I came up with the scales, I had a client that was out learning to meet women. He was scared to talk to girls. So every day he'd go out and socialize with everybody, not just girls, but everybody. And he would talk for upwards of 80 people in a day, just like quick hi, hey, what's up? How you doing? Moving around. And after several weeks, a month of doing that, he said, I don't feel any better. I still don't like doing it. I don't want to do it. I'm not getting any better at it. And so I asked him, I said, why are you doing it? And he said, because I want to get better with girls. And I said, yeah, but are you wanting to do it? And he said, no, I don't want to do this. I do it because I want to get better with girls and because you told me to. Now, when I heard that, I knew exactly why he was not succeeding at getting better at what he was working on. It's because he didn't really want to do it. He was doing it because he had to or needed to. He's got to, I've got to do this to get better. But so his real energy was dominant in avoid. He mostly had a desire to avoid and would force himself to do it because he had to. And because of that, he was causing sadness, grief, fear, anger. He was pushing really hard, trying to make it happen. And that pushing caused his subconscious mind to experience pain. It's called the pain pleasure principle. And the more he experienced pain that he associated with the push, the more his subconscious mind wanted to get him to quit. He was never going to learn to enjoy socializing from that place because all it was doing was compounding pain in his subconscious mind. So just kind of sit with that for a minute. How many of you are doing that right now? How many of you are, I made this chart up, by the way, Nicolaj. How many of you, I've been doing this stuff for so long and I see so many subtleties and I try to look for people and a lot of times I can't find what I want. So I have to go figure it out on my own because a lot of people just state really, to me are obvious stuff at this point because I've read so much, studied so much, done so much work. So how many of you are just like going out there and trying to get your goals from have to, need to, got to? Okay. It's really hard to grow or change from that place. I especially want to hear from the ladies. I notice they're not typing, but so unless they're just listening through Anna's phone. But think about that for a minute. How many of you are doing it because you have to? And that is a big, big problem. That's why you tend to go in circles over and over and over again. Now, I want to ask you, all of you that are doing it from you have to, are you doing it because you have to, working really hard, then burning out, and then taking maybe a week or two off and going into a void for a while? And then after you get tired, you start to realize you've been avoiding for a week or two. You get back into have to, and then back down to avoid, and then back up to have to, and back down to avoid. And this is your process in life. It's this cycle between these two energies that's burning you out. Okay, how many of you think you have that cycle? Okay. This is a big thing that I have been looking at for a while and has a massive effect on people's lives when they change it. Now, let's talk about wanting to understand the difference, okay? Wanting, the reason I put a line in the middle of wanting is because wanting has a twofold effect. Sometimes you get really excited about something and you want to do it, right? And you're like, I can't wait to do it. I want to do it. But the nature of want implies to the subconscious mind that you don't have it. You wouldn't want something you already have. I have this glass of water, so I don't want the glass of water. I just take it and drink it. That's a choice, right? Right. So so it's not wanting. So wanting implies to your subconscious mind you don't have. So what is your relationship to your wanting? How many of you ever reach a sense of, oh, hi, Mackenzie, welcome to the call. How many of you ever reach, it's nice to hear one of the ladies share. How many of you reach a point in your life where you finally get into wanting, like, I want to do this today. I want to go out and go for my dreams today. I want to go out and get a boyfriend, girlfriend. I want to go, you're welcome. That's awesome. Made my day too. It's nice having the ladies on here. And you want to go out and make things happen. You want to go out and do things. You want to go for it. And then you start to do it. And then suddenly you're back in have to. And then next thing you know, back in a void. That is because you're on the bottom side of wanting. Okay. When you want something, the presupposition to the subconscious mind, which means presupposes, it's a suggestion like hypnosis to the subconscious mind, you don't have it. And then wanting, when your relationship to wanting is really heavy, like I want this, but I don't believe I can get it. I don't believe I'm good enough. I don't people like me enough. I don't believe I'm talented enough. I don't believe I have the right skill set, whatever it is. That wanting is going to feel that heavier energy, and it's going to start to de-evolve back down the scale. Okay. And then you go back down. So this is kind of the cycle we go through for the average person that's been stumbling or in procrastination or starts and stops their whole life or isn't consistent. This is the cycle right here. So just kind of let that sit for a minute and notice all the places. Is everybody getting like an image in their mind of all the places this is going on? These feelings, these emotional states, because the path out is being able to feel this stuff. The path out is being able to recognize the images in your mind, feel the emotions, feel where they're at in your body. And this is why we play a lot with embodiment too, because the more you can feel all this stuff and then welcome it, the faster you can let it go. But if you can't see it, feel it, or understand it, that's why we develop emotional intelligence first. We start with all the subtle emotions, then the emotional scale, then we start with developing the relationship to this. Because as you develop a relationship to this, it handles so many of the emotions. But if you don't have a relationship to your emotions, it's really hard to fully understand this other than conceptually, logically. So now you get in touch with this feeling of wanting in your body. And suddenly for you, maybe, and all of you think of this, I'm sure you've all had it. There's something you wanted to do that sounded really fun. And you thought, I could do that. There's no reason I couldn't do that. Matter of fact, that would be a blast to do. So what happens with that wanting? That wanting, because you keep focusing, let's say it's learning to play the guitar. Let's say it's taking a dance class. That wanting kind of grows inside of you. And in the back of your mind, you think about it all the time. And then what emotions start to kick up because of that? Curiosity. What else? Joy. Yep. What? Anybody else got one? Type it in. No resistance, excitement. Excitement is part of wanting. Yeah. There's a unique quality of excitement, anticipation, enthusiasm. How about turn on too? Turn on kicks in there because turn on is passion, and you get turned on for the thing you want to do pretty soon, and then you're pulled to go do it. And when you get pulled, when you reach that point, who's done this with a car, by the way? You start thinking about buying a car. And then the next thing you know, you're looking at them online, and then you see the type of car you like, and you're trying to decide on color, and you're like, should I get this? Should I not? And you start seeing them everywhere on the road. They were always there. You just didn't notice them before. And next thing you know, you're at a dealership. I shouldn't get one. I don't have the money, but then I do, and I don't. And then that wanting eventually gets so turned on. You get so turned on for that car that next thing you know, you make a choice, and you're indecision, and you have that car. Okay. Now think about that distinct moment when you feel your body move from the feeling of wanting to the feeling of choice. Choice is like, this is happening. Wanting is, oh, I hope this happens. Oh, this could happen. Maybe this will happen. It's in the future. But you can't bring something into your reality till you make a choice. I can sit here and want this water all day long, but I have to make the choice to pick it up. And that's a different feeling in the body if I'm going to drink it, you see? And that's a big difference. And revealing and embodiment, we're constantly teaching you to recognize the feeling differences in the locations they're at in your body, so you can move from one to the next freely, and instead of getting stuck in one. See, we habitually get stuck down here because we can't feel the difference in our body. Feeling is really important between these different sensations and move through them freely, and it will. And what's driving all of these sensations is the emotional scale, which I had elaborated to on the other page. Each one of these sensations has an emotion driving it. The emotions are motivators. The emotions aren't you. If they can come and go, if you can be sad one day and the sadness goes away, even that afternoon, the sadness can't be you. It's just an experience you're having. So emotions are just programs. And then this is driven by the emotions. Okay. So then the next step is choice and decision. Choice and decision is the level of courage on the emotional scale. It's so powerful. And people who are really good at making a choice, you all know somebody like this in your life, I guarantee you. So just sit there and let yourself sit with it for a minute. Have you ever known somebody in your life that when they decide to do something, it almost feels like it's already done. Like, they're going to be going boom, 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 boom. This is done. I'm doing it. Period. And they nothing stops them. Nothing gets in their way. It's like they got a samurai sword and they're cutting right through all the resistance. That's what choice does. That's what a decision does. It's different than wanting. Your dad. Okay, that's that there. So everybody knows somebody or has seen somebody like that, whether you know them personally or you see them in life. Like, think about famous people that are like that. They go to take action and it's gonna fricking happen. And nothing's gonna stop them. That's because they're really good at the feeling of courage, which drives choice and decision. You can't want, like Conor McGregor couldn't want to be world champion. Okay. I've had my moments, Philip, and I've had plenty of moments where I've had to get over myself. So, but I get better every year, and that's why I'm here. Conor McGregor is a great example, world champion MMA fighter, right? He chose that long before it happened. He just had to catch up to it, and nothing was going to stop him. He wasn't in wanting; he was in choice. Okay, and he went for it. And what happens with a lot of these guys is they're in choice and they're hungry and they're turned on for what they want. They're excited. Then they get it and they have it a few years. They have millions of dollars now. They're comfortable. They've been hit in the head too many times. And now that choice isn't as strong and there's somebody else hungrier for the championship. What they're wanting now is maybe to take a break. In the back of their mind, they're thinking about taking a break, and unconsciously they're making a choice to take a break and they don't even realize it, and boom, they lose. Yeah, the Rock is very good at choice, and you can feel the difference on them in the way they talk, walk, and carry themselves. They have a different vibration to them and a different energy to them when they shift like that. When somebody's in choice and decision and speaking from choice and decision, they're definitive, they're focused, they're driven, they feel powerful. When somebody's speaking from a void, yeah, maybe, I don't know. You can feel the vibration or feeling difference in their body. This is why we love embodiment so much. When we have you guys gaze with each other and feel each other's vibrations, you can feel where somebody's at on this scale, as along with the emotional scale. This is developing massive emotional intelligence. You start to see it everywhere in the world. Matter of fact, you can't not see it after a while. You start to see what's motivating everybody to do what they're doing and why they're doing it, and you'll pick up on when they make a shift. You'll also notice that people have patterns, that some people can go right into choice, and some people have to be in wanting for a while before choice, and some people go into have to, need to, then go back down to avoid 2 or 3 times, then finally go up to wanting and then choice, and that's their pattern, and they follow those patterns religiously. One of my first patterns my teacher showed me was I would go into have to. I would first go into avoid, but then I had to do it. So then I go into have to. And he filmed me doing this. And then I would sit there and have to, like, fumbling around, looking for somebody to help me, looking for somebody to show me how to do it, because I was kind of like, yeah, I can't. This is so hard. That was the energy I was putting off. And then when nobody would help me, suddenly I would just stop, look around, realize I'm done with this, and go right into choice and get it done. And when he showed me that on film, and he showed me, this is the point where you make the decision to get this done. And then he said to me, this is the key point. He said, why don't you just go right to that point, that feeling right from the beginning? Why do this whole dance in the beginning? And the next week I got more done in my life than I had, God, I couldn't tell you when, because I would feel that feeling coming on. It was almost like a craving to go down that road of should, have to, dance, difficulty. And then I would say, how could I get this done right now through choice, in a sense? And I would look and I'd see the path, and I'd notice my body was resisting the fastest path. And then I would have to push it into that path, and then boom, I get it done in 10 minutes, which would have taken me all day otherwise. And because I would have screwed something up, had to redo it, go get some more information. And then when I go this way, it's just done. And it was really interesting to watch that happen every day. That came from starting to recognize choice and decision. Back then, I didn't have the term choice and decision for it. But I recognized the behavior. Yeah, McGregor went from welfare to multi-millions within less than a decade. Apparently, that was pretty amazing. Well, it is pretty amazing considering the massive negative beliefs he had about himself. But he really was a massive positive thinker. He really learned to get his thinking under control. Now, choice and decision comes from turn on. It comes from the turn on passionate part of your body, because that's the part of your body that makes you want to take action. And that's the part of you that makes you want to go physically into the world and take action effortlessly and have fun doing it. You know, when you get turned on for something, and I'm not just talking about sex, I'm talking about turned on for life, turned on for getting up in the morning. That's a feeling that you can cultivate. All of these are feelings you can cultivate. And if you can start to recognize these feelings through the revealing process, you can start to let them go. Think about that. If you could start letting this stuff go. Now, I'm not saying it's going to let go immediately. You might have to spend a period developing a relationship to your shoulds, your have tos, your needs, your avoids, because you're in such resistance to feeling them. Therefore, they own you before you can let them go. But once you do that, you take that time, like I have done, like so many clients have done, your life can begin to change, because from there, as you let them go, you'll have access to choice. But if you don't build a relationship to the shoulds, the have tos, the got tos, the need tos, the low levels of wanting and doubt and worry and the avoid, they will always own you. They'll always pull you back down. It's like crabs in a pot, right? Everybody know how to cook crabs? You throw a bunch of crabs in a pot and they'll all pull each other back down. One tries to get out, the other one pulls that one down and then trying to get above it. And this goes on forever. And that's why this is so, so powerful. And when I saw this, when I created this scale, I realized it is because revealing process or the original releasing process isn't in the releasing, but this is in the revealing process. But the original releasing process has the emotional scale, and then it has the core wants, right? They have subtle emotions, core wants. And for me and for so many clients, they couldn't relate to the core wants, the want for love, or the want for approval, the want for control, the want for separation, the want for security. They didn't make sense to them. They had a hard time releasing from them. I think I talked to Josh about this once. And this scale bridges that gap to get you to start to understand those core wants, which is some of the most powerful. So the releasing from this level gets so many people out of stuckness, numbness, the desire to avoid, not going anywhere in life, challenge. Because once you develop, the first thing you got to do is develop a relationship to these energies. But once you develop that relationship and start to see them at play in your life, and how fast, if you've been down there for years, how much you're probably bouncing between low level want, have to, and avoid, and back up to low level want and all over the place. And there's only a few areas you're making real decisions and being in your life that once you start to develop, I don't know why I lost my voice there, but once you start to develop that relationship to the wanting in your life and the low level wants, have tos, and avoids, you're going to start to be able to break free of that and start to let it go and start to move towards choice. So I'm actually expanding on the scale. I'm making it bigger and changing it and starting to develop actual teachings to develop what these feel like in your body more and more and more. I want to put that in the revealing process. Actually, the next revealing process we're going to do. And at the top, I didn't mention being. Being is when you don't think about it. Being is when you are like you are money. Money just comes to you. For guys that are working on being better with women, women just like you. You're male, women attracted to me. For women, I'm female, men like me because I'm female. That's the nature of life, and you don't think about it. You don't worry about it. You can get dates with these. Like one of my mentors, David Nagel, the day he realized he was money, you could take all my money away and I'll just make more. It'll just show back up in my bank account. It's the way it is. And that is being. Now, there are levels in between here I didn't put in, like, for example, but they're kind of, you don't need to see them all. But if you want to know, between choice and being would be having. You know, there's a sense of having. Like you choose it, then you have it, and then you're being it. So we would be diving deeper into that stuff too. I just don't want to put too many levels on here because I want to get you guys at a basic level understanding this first. Now, when you start to be able to recognize that you're in wanting, and then you can start recognizing what emotions are attached to the wanting and start releasing the emotions from the wanting and the images and the stories, then the wanting starts to get weaker and weaker and weaker and starts to fade away. Same thing with the should. Or got to, or have to. Like, I have to do this. Notice what emotions are attached to it. Notice what subtle emotions are attached to it. Notice where they're at in your body. What do they feel like? Get comfortable feeling them. They'll hurt for a little bit emotionally, but you can handle that. That's not going to break you. And as you get more and more comfortable looking right at these emotions, you get a sense of power in your life because you feel like these, you know what? They're just emotions. I can handle them. And you begin to notice something really spectacular, that every time you look at these heavy, painful emotions and get comfortable with them and say, I can handle you. You don't control me. I'm not a victim to you. And you start to separate from them and see them as something you're experiencing, not something you're having, that your life starts to change. That every time you break up even 1%, 2%, that suddenly new things come into your life. More success comes into your life because you move up the scale naturally. You start to get lighter and lighter and lighter. If you're living and being, like let's say an enlightened being is living and being, if you want to call it that, you guys call enlightenment whatever you want. When you think about something, it can happen easily. There's no resistance. When you're living in a void, when you think about something, you push it away. And that's the difference. In some areas of your life, you're probably in being. And maybe it's money, maybe it's health, maybe it's exercise, and you get excited by it, and it's just you're pulled to it. In other areas of your life, you're probably down in a void, and it's really difficult, or somewhere in between. And usually you're dancing between these. If you're in the spins, which means your mind is racing, you're probably dancing right here between these three really fast, up and down, up and down. And that's why you can't make sense of anything and you're in confusion all the time. And so starting to see that cycle is huge for starting to break it up. This is a feeling process. As you learn to feel these feelings in your body, you can start to change them. Feel them, welcome them, and get comfortable with them. So if you just take a moment and imagine think of something that you're really good at being. Like you don't even think about it, just happens naturally, whether that's making money, playing basketball, playing a musical instrument, and feel the flow in that. And then go down and think of something that you're always trying to do, but you end up avoiding. You have to, or you should. And notice how your body just feels different. Notice what parts of your body tighten up, constrict, pull, and then go back to the being again. And notice if you start thinking about this thing that you're really good at just being, how much lighter your body actually becomes. And then go back to the bottom of the scale again and think about have to and avoid, something that you have to, that you were always trying to do, but it's just such a struggle. You avoid it or you have to do it and you avoid it. And notice how your body feels again. Sit with it, be with it. And then go back to being again. What do you do without thinking? You just flow. It's easy. You can make decisions and choices and just keep going. And notice how your body starts to loosen up again. And I want to point out that constriction in your body is just a program in your subconscious mind. And the reason we have such a hard time undoing these programs is because we have such a hard time learning to feel. Nobody's ever taught us how to feel our bodies, feel these emotions, feel these subtle emotions. And you can't break them up or get rid of them easily, at least, unless you learn to feel them and stop making them right or wrong, good or bad. They're just another experience, like a broken part in a car. And when you can look at it and go, yep, that's just a broken part, I'm going to replace it, you can make massive shifts. But if every time you look at that broken part and you go, oh, I can't afford to fix it, it's so difficult. Oh, what am I going to do? I'll just leave it. I'll just patch it up with duct tape. Hopefully it'll last longer and the radiator won't blow till, and then that's what we end up doing. And we're doing this with our own heads and our own bodies. And we don't need to, because it doesn't cost anything to replace stuff in our own bodies, to change the subconscious mind, other than the willingness to feel. And that's the beautiful part. The internal world is an amazing world that can create so much success in your life. Awesome. I'm glad you like it, Philip. So I'm going to leave this at this. I was only supposed to go a half hour today because I had a little trouble getting started. I went a little over. And I really wanted to make this point come across. Okay. And really help you to hit. This is an area I'm going to emphasize, I think, a lot more when it comes to the new revealing course. And we got a revealing course coming up at the end of the month for anybody that wants to get involved in that. We've got our online revealing course, of course. And that's a powerful course. People love it. And then we have a live one coming up at the end of this month that only 10 people get to be in. So if anybody's interested in that, let us know right away, and we'll be glad to talk about getting you in there, where I spend 3 full days teaching you guys all of this stuff, from the subtle emotions to the emotions, to the wants, to the core wants, and I do releases with you, and we break down, and I do releases directly with each person in the group. Because there's only 10 of you, I get to work with you personally. It's all online because I have a big screen TV here, so I can see your face, huge, probably bigger than in real life, right in front of me. And I can see all your micro expressions, feel all your feelings, feel all your emotions, and we get to work together to help you shift your life in this area. So if that's something you want to learn more about, or you want to do, click on the link in here, and talk to one of the coaches, and they'll help you to decide if it's the right thing for you. Our coaches are designed to help you figure out what's right for you, not just to force some stupid product down your throat. I believe that you're here for a reason, so this is probably the right product for you if this is something you want to do. But at the same time, that's why we have you talk to the coaches, to make sure. Now, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and next time I'll try to get more questions in there and fit more in. Did you guys get value out of this? Did you understand what I'm talking about with this? This to me is oh, by the way, some people just signed off, so I'm going to share one more thing for those of you that didn't sign off. One more piece of information. When I discovered this, I really realized how much there's areas of my life not moving forward and I wasn't releasing well on. And other areas were blowing up. And I looked at the shoulds, the got tos, the have tos, the need tos, and the avoid. And I noticed I was going back and forth between those two. And I was like, damn, I have to do this every day. No wonder I'm burning out. No wonder my body's tired. And so what I started doing was meditating, and because I couldn't release them, I tried and they would not go. As hard as I tried to let go of the shoulds and the got tos and the need tos and the voids, they wouldn't go. Why? Because they were so entrenched in my subconscious mind and my nervous system. So I just started welcoming them. I would spend a half hour or so every day at home, just welcoming all the have tos every morning that I've got to do that day, all the pushing and the forcing and the forcing and the pushing. And then I would take a walk for like another half hour or so, and I would turn on some really relaxing music, and I'd welcome all the have tos and the got tos and the shoulds while I walked for a half hour. And I did this every day for like a week to 2 weeks, and then all these emotions after the have tos and the shoulds started to let go, because I was looking at them and getting comfortable looking at them every day for like a week or two. Boom, all these emotions started coming up behind them, and it was pretty powerful. So for those of you that stayed on after I said that, then that's one practice you can do. But if you want to go really deep into this, and you really want to understand how to change your life on a radical level, and I believe releasing is one of the most powerful tools to radically shift your life, then click on that link, talk to one of the coaches, and let us help you to make that powerful shift in your life. There's only going to be 10 people. And it's coming up pretty fast. And I know tension scares people, man. Taking action scares people. Stepping into tension scares people. That's all on the level of choice. A lot of people are in, oh shit, avoid the moment I said that, and probably signed off. And so think about it. It doesn't hurt to talk to a coach and figure this out. Okay, guys. Thank you, Nicolaj. I love being able to help you guys, and beautiful ladies that are out there today. So I saw one lady on here today. So. Hopefully we'll be getting some more ladies on here in the future. I know I've had some female fans that used to hide in the background back. I ran into one in a bar one night. She ran over so excited to meet me. She watches all my videos. I'm like, why don't you ever comment on them? She's like, well, it's for guys. I just hang out. So more women in the group, the better, because those women really, really know how to go for it, man. They'll motivate you guys to go for it. So I'm really happy to have them here. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's how you feel sometimes, Mackenzie. I love it that you're speaking up. The guys really appreciate it too. I can't tell you how excited the guys are when a lady pops in and they realize that, because guys are so scared of personal growth. They think women or people are going to make fun of them sometimes. And when they realize how much you ladies appreciate it, it really helps them to step into their power. So, okay. So one more time, the link is in the chat. You guys can see it. I'm going to let you guys go for tonight. So there's a call coming up Thursday. Make sure to be on it. That's going to be an interview with Josh talking about some of Josh's skill sets as a coach, the way he views the fearless teachings moving forward. And Josh is the consistency master. He steps into tension like nobody's business on such a consistent basis. So if you want to hear about how Josh has he radically changed his life fast. I mean, insanely fast. Literally, I met him. I didn't even meet him. I gave a talk, and he was 3 days later or 4 days later in a workshop that I was teaching, and he just signed up because he knew from just watching me talk, like tonight, it's like, I need to do that. Boom, he was there, and we never didn't see him after that. He was around all the time, and he's blown his life up so much, changed it on a radical level. So I think you guys need to hear that story. So that story will be going on Thursday. And he is now the Fearless's lead coach. The previous call from last week where I interviewed Anthony, who is on this call, is up right now on the YouTube page. Check that out. It's an awesome call. And then, yes, Josh is a badass, that bully. And then next Tuesday, we'll be doing another conversation. I'm going to try to keep him to a half hour, but it's hard for me. But I'm going to work on it. But another conversation on the revealing process next Thursday, some aspect of it, some piece of it. Okay, guys? So that's it for tonight. Hope everybody has a beautiful night, and I'll talk to you all soon. And it was an amazing day. Amazing way. Actually, you guys don't realize, I keep stopping. When I'm on here, this is probably one of the favorite parts of my day, talking to you guys. I love getting on here and teaching with you guys, working with you guys. If I'm a little tired, I get on here, I immediately wake up. It's amazing how that works, but I love it. Anyways, have a beautiful day, and we'll see you on Thursday, hopefully.